guys, and welcome to World of Warships with Voulezvous. First off, I would really like to thank all of you guys who took the time and decided to create the gifts that I was asking for in my Grand Naval Battles contest. The winners of this week should be getting their diamonds in the next 2 days. And now let's move on to the theme of today's video, which is the double bomber, double fighter setup on the Ranger. Now, one of my subscribers asked me a couple of days ago what is my opinion on the double bomber, double fighter setup and if it's a viable option, and quite frankly I wasn't sure what to tell him because I did not really play with this setup that often, but ever since he asked me I took the effort and actually switched my Ranger setup to this setup and just wanted to see what kind of effects you can get. And I have to say that this is a very strong setup in the sense that with those two fighter squadrons you have a complete dominance over the sky above the battle. And those two bombers, if played correctly, can actually deal a lot of damage. And I've chosen this video for this exact reason. So let's jump into the battle and let's see if I can teach you something about how to use the double bomber setup on American carriers. So again, the first thing I'm doing when starting a battle in a carrier is looking up the stats of my opponent, and looking at the hero here, I can straight away tell that this hero is running a stock hull and also completely unupgraded aircraft. So all he has managed to upgrade on his ship is the squadron composition, and now he's got an extra fighter squadron. So now he is running a 2-2-2 complement. So that already tells me that this player is quite new to the carrier and he may be a little bit less experienced. So that's one thing. Second, looking at the Ryujo, well, it is an aircraft carrier that is 1 tier lower than mine, so I'm not really all that much concerned with it. So I just look up the stats, but I don't even bother to actually make sure that to actually try to figure out what sort of setup is running. Now I'm checking out the defense capabilities of my potential targets, which will most likely be battleships. And even the Pensacola's AA rating is only 48. I think that the Pensacola is running a stock hull as well. So the first thing I do is I decide to send my fighters out. I need to have the fighters out first simply because I know that the Japanese carriers can launch their planes much faster, so by the time I will be finished with launching both my squadrons, I'm expecting the enemy carriers to have most of their air groups already up in the air. So I'm sending my fighters sort of towards the middle of the map because, well, they have the biggest chances to actually encountering something. And the next thing I do is decide that I want to send my carrier down south to that little island, and this is basically to ensure that the returning planes will have the shortest possible way to return to the plane and recycle. So I'm estimating here that by the time the carrier reaches that little island and starts turning north, my bomber groups will have already used their payload and they will be on their way back and they will land a bit faster sooner than as if they had to go all the way up to the north western corner. So the first enemy squadrons show up, and I have to say at the beginning of this battle I'm a little bit rusty here. I'm messing quite a lot of things up, and yeah, I could have done much more with this air group, and this one now will get tied up with the enemy fighters, which will unfortunately give quite a good opening for the enemy carrier to attack our Nicholas. So again, I'm trying to strafe here, trying to kill two birds at the same time, but it just doesn't really work out for me. And now my fighter squadron is tied up, so I'm sending another one in hope that I'm gonna eradicate the enemy fighters quickly and maybe save the Nicholas, but it just takes too long and the Nicholas is under attack. But looking at how the torpedoes are being launched against the Nicholas, it looks like actually the enemy carrier has messed this up as well. So that's good for us. So for now I'm just playing with my fighter squadrons, and I see an opportunity to strafe the enemy strike group, but it turns out I'm a little bit too late, and I completely lose out on any kills. But that's alright, I'm gonna make it up later in the game. So now I noticed the Nagato, which was a bit mouthy at the beginning in the chat, saying that it's going to be an easy win, so I decided that, you know, since there's no cover and there's no one actually attacking him, I use one of my dive bomber squadrons and do a side draw because I just don't want to waste too much time. I'm expecting enemy fighters to show up. I only get one fire and 7,000 damage, which is not optimal. Good battleship captains usually do not repair just one fire and wait for another one to show up, simply because two fires are devastating. So I see that the Nagato has actually repaired, so I'm sending my second group now. The cooldown should have already been used up, so if I set the Nagato on fire now, this will last. And I did 5,000 damage and another just one fire, which means that the Nagato will be burning for about a minute now, which is really good, and that just gives me some initial damage. So far only 12,000 damage of direct bomb hits, and whatever the fire damage I'm raking in over time. So again, as you see, my ranger actually reached already the northern bit of the route I made for him, so I basically I'm sending him sort of down behind that little island here. You can see it now, and I'm just waiting for my fighters to recycle. And again, I'm thinking, where will I be able to encounter as many enemy air groups as possible, and thinking, you know, they were actually returning in sort of this southwestern-ish direction, so I'm thinking the enemy carrier must be moving in there, so that's where I want to send them. So we see some enemy torpedo bombers popping in, and fortunately my fighter group is really close, and I'm thinking I may be able to strafe them. So I set up a strafe and start attacking, and I'm rather successful with the drop, but that was too late, and you can see my frustration here. I'm trying to give the launch or the attack orders as quickly as possible, but again I'm a little bit late, and this is my shortcoming. I should have done it much better. But at least I get to strafe the enemy torpedo bomber group and at least kill them off. And this is good and bad at the same time, because that means that the torpedo bomber group has already recycled, sort of, you know, just replaced by replacement planes. So they will be in the air much faster, much sooner than as if I let them go. But I just want to, I'm going for depletion. I want to kill off all of the enemy planes. And as you can see, the Nagato pops into the spotting range, and you can see just how much damage he actually incurred over time when it was out of view. And I get a decent hit, just one fire. I know I have to fix it again, so I use another one of my dive bomber groups, and this one should kill him. And that's exactly what happens. So that gives me my first kill, already fourth fire and ninth bomb hit in the game. And I'm sorry, I can't really stop myself from taunting the enemy Nagato player, because he was so sure that this is going to be an easy win for him. So again, moving on to what's happening in the game, my fighter group, one of them will be ready in about 20 seconds, 17 seconds now. And I still got quite a while before my dive bombers will recycle. So again, I'm thinking now, what should I do? I see that Fuso beaching itself on the island in the bottom of the screen right now, and I'm thinking maybe this would be a good target. But I realized that the Congo might actually be a better one, simply because the Congo is mobile, and you know, it may actually pose a bigger threat to whoever is in his scope right now. So I'm still kind of hesitating here, but I still got a moment before my dive bombers recycle. So right now I'm just concentrating on using my fighter squadrons to the maximum of their potential. And I see that grouping of fighters to the right, and I send both of my fighter squadrons to the right side, to the eastern side of the game, and eastern side of the map. And I see that one of my dive bomber squadrons is already recycled and is on its way. So I line myself up to attack the Congo from the front. I take the appropriate lead, correct a little bit, and get a nice hit, 4,800, and only one fire again, which is again unfortunate. A more experienced player would not have repaired it, but I'm looking at the Congo now and I see that the Congo has already repaired, which is really good for me. The cooldown must have already finished, so I just decide to attack the Congo again. And this time I get 2 fires, which means I will actually inflict quite a lot of damage on the enemy battleship. And I'm not really sure who it was that was attacking me and set me on fire, but I get my carry to move again, and I've chosen a easterly direction, full speed. I just want to get out of there as soon as possible. And my fighters arrive at that part of the map here, and this is a bit of a cluster of enemy aircraft, and I mess up yet another strafe run, which is really annoying. But I have to say the enemy carrier captain was really good at avoiding these. I sort of hope that he was doing this intentionally, because otherwise that would be quite a big fail on my part. So as you can see, one of my fighter squadrons just got tied up with the enemy squadron, and I was considering a strafe as long as I saw those dive bombers actually going in the same direction. But now that they changed direction, I decided to ignore that. I know that my fighters should win that battle against the stock Hiryu fighters, so I'm just trying to catch up and send my fighters on a strafing run here. And I'm also very mindful of the fact that there's torpedo bombers, dive bombers incoming in my direction, so I'm checking it right now, but it turns out that they decided to attack one of our battleships, so I'm safe, and it's alright. But I would have actually preferred them to attack me, because I know I would have survived it, and I want to preserve as much of my teammates' life as possible. We're losing by 2 ships and quite a big point advantage. So this is really imperative that I want to basically kill off leftover enemy ships and preserve life of my friendly ships. So basically I'm trying to switch to defending my battleships right now. And I see an opportunity here. I want to use those dive bombers on first the Miyoko, but I changed my mind. I figured that the Miyoko might actually have defensive fire, so I'm sending them down. And I see that the enemy carrier player is actually leading my fighters towards the Miyokos to enhance his defenses, so I break off the attack, and now that the enemy fighters have moved back a little bit from the Miyoko, I re-engage again. And I knew that there were enemy fighters incoming, enemy torpedo bombers incoming, but I didn't have that much ammo, so I knew that I wouldn't be able to foil their attack. And again, I see the Fuso and set the Fuso on fire twice, which is really good. And I'm just waiting for the Fuso to repair, to use my second dive bomber squadron to finish it off, because I know that if I manage to set the Fuso on fire twice again after he repairs, the Fuso is dead. It's just a matter of time. He won't be able to repair in time. So I'm waiting here, and I'm kind of getting impatient here, because I'm expecting enemy fighters to show up, and the Fuso still hasn't repaired. So I figured, okay, I'm just gonna inflict as much direct damage as possible and maybe get some more fires going. Another 2 fires, 5,000 damage. And I'm just checking if the Fuso repairs instantly or not, and it seems that he's actually not repairing. So he has used his heal ability, which is kind of building his health back up, but he's also losing health at the same time. So I suppose I could have attacked him a bit earlier and inflicted even more damage. So, looking at the map now, there's only 4 ships on my team left, and 6 ships on the enemy team, which is putting us in a really bad position. So I'm trying to figure out what should be my next target, and I see this enemy battleship. I see the Fuso here on the left, and he's almost dead. He's still losing health, so I already write the buy Fuso message in the chat, but this is the moment where the fire runs out or he repairs, so that just means that the Fuso is still a threat, and that's really unfortunate for us, but well, what you can do. So I'm thinking now, should I finish off the Fuso or attack that battleship in the east part of the map? And I figure that I will contribute more to the team if I actually try to eliminate some of the enemy battleships' health pool. So that's why I'm sending my dive bombers in that direction. My fighters have already recycled, so I'm sending them down to defend the friendly, I think it's a Colorado. Yes, and so I'm sending them, I'm just trying to be as speedy as possible about this. And I sent my dive bombers to the side here. I want to deal with this threat first because, it is really imperative for me to make sure that the Colorado lives for as long as possible. So my fighters unfortunately did not make it in time, and the Colorado gets a hit or two, but the enemy carrier captain has messed up the drop, and fortunately only one or two torpedoes hit. And this is the most embarrassing bit of the whole game for me, I think. I actually managed to completely mess up this drop, and all of my bombs have missed, which is really annoying for me. And in hindsight, I'm thinking I might have actually thrown the game by doing this. But my second dive bomber squadron is here as well, so I figure, since they're already here, I'm not gonna wait for the first one to recycle, and I'm just lining myself up to be completely in line with the enemy battleship, turn around and make a much better drop this time, 6,500 damage and 2 fires. Obviously, I'm expecting the battleship to repair those fires instantly, so there's no chances for damage over time, but well, at least there's that, that means that he uses repair. So I have a feeling now that by now the enemy carriers are almost out of planes. I managed to shoot down 31 planes just on my own, so that just gives me an idea that, I may be a little bit more frivolous in terms of how I use my fighter squadrons, and I'm just, trying to engage the enemy dive bombers, torpedo bombers, make sure that they do not reach the friendly Colorado. So that's one of my dive bombers recycled now, and I'm instantly sending it towards the enemy battleship in the east. And I see an opportunity to strafe, and nothing happens here, so I break these off, and I quickly give him a strafe order, and hope that I manage to kill him before they launch their torpedoes. And I'm actually really successful at this, so that's really good. I think that's the best strafe run that I've done in this game. I've had much better strafe run games than this one, unfortunately. But that still leaves me at 40 planes killed, already 24 bomb hits and 13 fires set. So the Fuso is on not much health right now, and I'm hoping that I will manage to actually kill it off with this dive bomber drop. So I'm lining myself up for a perfect drop and set the Fuso on fire once with 2 bomb hits, and fortunately the Fuso is still operational. He hasn't repaired yet, so that gives me hope. And his health is still falling, so I have the impression that I won't need to repeat the drop, and yep, that's where I get the second kill of the battle. And I decide that, the Budionni is on low enough health for one of my dive bomber squadrons to actually kill it off, which is really important right now because we really need to get as many points back as possible. But that's the moment I see that the Budionni has activated his AA defensive fire, and I break up the attack. I look at the clock right now, and I know I've got 3 minutes left, so I prefer to keep those dive bombers. I'm thinking about attacking the Ryujo here right now, but I'm not really sure if this is the best idea. So I'm looking at the clock now. It's been about 30 seconds past that since the Budyonny has activated its defensive fire. So I send it out there and I'm just looking at the reticle. If it's gonna go big again, I'm gonna turn around again, but it doesn't. So that means that the defensive fire has used up. I line up and get a nice triple bomb hit on the enemy cruiser. So this leaves us at a Mexican standoff situation where we have 2 carriers versus 2 carriers. There's only a little bit of a point difference between us, and you know, this is a 2-cap domination game mode, so that doesn't really matter. Even if it's only 1 point of an advantage, the enemy team will still win. So the most important thing I need to do right now is to kill off an enemy ship and gain a point advantage. But I've only got a minute and a half left, so I'm hoping that those 2 next drops will, which obviously will be my final drops in the game, will inflict enough damage to actually kill the enemy Ryujo. The first attack gives me 7,500 damage with 3 bomb hits and 2 fires. And the Independence is doing a really silly thing. He is trying to, I think, ram the enemy carrier, which is not the best idea. I mean, he's not gonna give us anything, and I've already inflicted damage on him, so that's why I'm gonna write in the chat right now asking him not to ram the enemy carrier, because this would just not work for us. And just look at this epic turn fight between the carriers. So, 25 seconds left in the battle, and I'm sending my last final dive bomber squad up, and I'm lining myself up for a good drop. And I do get 5 bomb hits with 12,000 damage and 3 fires and a Witherer award on top of that. But unfortunately the enemy teams has still got a point advantage and we lose. So, how much damage do you think I've actually done in this game? Well, the answer is right there, 139,000 with just 2 dive bomber squads. This is an excellent result, and quite frankly, I had no idea that you can pull off results like this with just dive bomber squads. So it just shows you how much you can actually achieve if you know how to play the game to your advantage. So, just to sum up, 295,000 of profit, just under 4,000 of experience, the Witherer award, 37 bombs hit the target, 46 planes shot down with 3 kills and 22 fires set. This result put me in the first place on my team. Unfortunately, it was a loss with just under 1,300 of base experience. And just check this out, 74,000 of direct bomb hit damage dealt in 37 bombs, and 65,000 of fire damage over time, which is an excellent result in my opinion for a setup that one would think would be a rather weak one. So moving on to the profits tab, 251,000 of pure profit after all the repairs and refits. And I think I'm going to leave it at that and allow you to draw your own conclusions and just see if you would like to try to play American carriers in the way I just showed you. So for now I say thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the open seas.